Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the APurvis or APurvis Xerx Integral or Integral, however you'd like me to pronounce that. Yeah, this is super cool. I'm a huge fan of integral folding knives. What does that mean? It means that the entire handle or frame is one piece of titanium versus the standard pillar or sandwich construction that we usually see. This takes a lot of extra machining effort, and kind of the way that I understand it is risky machining effort, because they start with a much thicker block of titanium and they got to get it right. Because if they don't, then they're out that entire piece of titanium. So what automatically comes with a knife like this, regardless of the materials used, is an increased price tag versus other things in the same caliber. For instance, this exact same knife made with titanium, but sandwich construction or pillar construction over this integral construction would cost less money, right? Or this costs more, right? Even though it's the exact same materials, it just does. But that's okay with me. I will definitely pay more money for an integral knife. Do you gain any sort of advantage? Usually ease of disassembly, because you know there aren't any screws here other than the pivot screw, the pocket clip screws, and the insert screw, right? So you gain that, and just cool factor, right? You might be able to make an argument for durability, but I don't know. It's cool factor, right? And ease of disassembly. It's very interesting. Thank you so much to @digital_guttersnipe for sending this in for review. Please give him a follow. It's because of people like him that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content. It's also because of my generous patrons. Thanks so much for supporting me. You can find a link for Patreon right down in the description. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram @metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. Overall length of the Xerx Integral coming in at 8 inches. Blade length coming in, looks like maybe a hair over 3.5 inches. And then cutting edges coming in, by my measurement, a hair over 3.25. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and its little brother, the Ontario Rat Model 2. It's kind of in between. Rat 1's 8.6, Rat 2's like 7 inches, something like that. Similar height. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? You can see there once again a little bit in between. It's closer to the size of the PM2 for sure. Definitely more cutting edge than anything that we've shown out here so far. And last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, and the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. Almost identical in overall length to the Ritter Hogue, and I believe the actual cutting edge is identical as well. Ratios on this knife are very good. Happy with that. Let's go ahead and do carry thickness. By the way, if you're wondering, where can I get that? Can I get these right now? At the time of this video, I just checked the APurvis Knives website, and they are available for pre-order. I've also seen them speckled about at various retailers. So there are a few floating around out there right now, and then there are some that are available for pre-order. So I would recommend, depending on what what you want to do, I'd recommend checking out the APurvis website. Absolutely. And also follow him on Instagram. Thickness up against the Para 3, you can see here we are really looking at about the same. Remember, these are contoured, so roughly the same. Very, very close. Height and length up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here that while it is a little bit longer than the Para 3, closer to the length of the PM2, none of this, right, including the notch on the harpoon, the inclusion of the flipper tab, it's just not a tall object. It's not a thick object. It's not going to be a difficult object to carry. It is going to be bigger than, what a lot of people are used to carrying, but I wouldn't call this a big knife. It's a full-size knife, not a big knife. It doesn't have anything sticking out. It shouldn't be too much of a problem for people to carry, especially if you've been carrying knives like this in the past. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check, even though, like I said, you really just pull the blade out, pull the pocket clip off. That's all you're going to be doing if you want to disassemble it. Where's my driver? If you want to disassemble it, that's really all you're going to be doing. The pivot is it a T8? It looks like a T8. We'll try it. It might be a T10. Let's take a look here. Nope, that's a T8. Okay, so T8, and then the insert screw, which you should never have to take out, is a T6, and the pocket clip screws which on this knife you really shouldn't, unless you're going to change out the pocket clip, because he does have special, like if you want a Timascus clip, that is something that's available on his website. Those are going to be T6. No big deal. It's one of my favorite things about integral knives is that you just don't have to worry. Disassembly is just super easy, so that's great. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness here real quick. Get out my calipers. Blade stock thickness is coming in at 135 thousandths, which is kind of in that nice medium zone. Not too thick, not too thin, right? So there you go. Weight. This knife, this particular one, has holes milled all the way through the handle, the back of it, right? So this one's going to weigh less than the versions of it that do come solid. If you're wondering, if you're thinking, I don't really like those holes, does he make one that's solid? Yeah, there was one actually listed on his website for pre-order that showed it was just a solid handle, right? So weight's going to vary a little bit. This guy is coming in at 3.95 ounces. That's pretty impressive considering it is one piece of titanium. Blade to handle ratio, or blade to weight ratio, or overall length to weight ratio, right? If you go by that, it's a little bit off, but 4 ounces for this thing, that's not going to bother me at all. It's actually a little less than what I normally carry, so no big deal there. What else do we need to do? I think that's pretty much it. So these are not manufactured in the United States. They are manufactured overseas. Do with that information what you will. It is running on bearings. And for those of you who don't know, I used to own a Xerx, a standard pillar construction Xerx, which I really loved. In fact, I named it one of my favorite knives ever. In fact, it made my top 20 list there for a while. I just really loved it. I love the profile. And this is much the same profile for the handle, but we have this crazy harpoon clip point blade, and I really love the blade shape. It's hollow up here on the primary, and then the grind out here towards the end is flat, giving a little bit more robustness, right? There's quite a bit of material out here. I don't think you have to worry too much. What's the blade steel? It is M390, which has become the standard for a premium knife, so I don't have a problem with that. The machining on the frame is just excellent. Everything just looks fantastic. All the edges have been nicely knocked down. They have this beautiful tumbled finish on the titanium that's got a little tiny bit of subdued reflectivity. I also like the pivot and the pivot collar. I'm a big fan of monochromatic looking knives, right? They have different options that have more or less color, but I really like this. What's this piece right here? What's the reason for the shape? I imagine that it has something to do with the internals and the construction. You'll see that type of thing on lots of different titanium integrals. And there has to be a way for the pieces to come in and out and for construction to actually take place. So I imagine that that's part of that. But yeah, the pivot looks good. The busy parts of this knife are not too busy, but you get to enjoy that sort of simplistic look, right? And then you have this craziness, the exotic features, of course, the blade. Not everybody likes a harpoon blade. I like how it looks, and I also like that my thumb finds a natural position up here. What am I going to be doing with my knife where I need my thumb up here? I don't really know, but I like putting my thumb up there because it feels good. There's jimping back here, so you can definitely rest against that, and it does a good job, right? There's nothing, like, it's not too sharp, or it's not so, light that it doesn't catch your finger. On the flat of the blade, which is very short, it has the APurvis logo, and then on the other side it says M390, and that's it. We get to enjoy the blade. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys. I don't know, have you guys heard me say this before? I'm sick of satin finishes. I'm sick of it. I just don't like satin finishes. Hand rub satin finish is all right, but this machine satin finish, I'm kind of over it. And truth be told, there's a little bit of discoloration on this guy. Now, that's not to say that every single one of these is going to have discoloration. And you know what? Through every single knife company that I've ever handled, right, when I see a satin finish, I'm not talking about just non-US production companies, right? If we're talking about Benchmade, yes, even Spyderco, zero tolerance. I've seen this from Wee, from Bestech, from Riot. Every now and then on a satin finished blade, I see this discoloration. I don't know if this is belt burn or what it is. It's not corrosion, but it's not good. It has this sort of golden hue to it. I think that's what steel does when it's heated up, or maybe heated up by friction. I don't know. I don't make knives, so I can't tell you exactly what that is, but I don't like how it looks, and it appears oftentimes on satin finished blades. I also am not a big fan of satin finished blades because the edges up here on the, oftentimes the swedge or just the edges where it corners off to the spine are a little bit sharp. Does that hurt anything when you're cutting? Not really, but it's not super pleasing to the hand. These are little nitpicks, and not every single blade that's offered, not every single Xerx blade that's offered is in this finish. That's kind of why I'm kind of like, the hand rub satin finishes always look great, and you don't see that discoloration usually because the finish is applied by hand. So I'm kind of getting hung up on this, and I want to stress to you guys, it's not a big deal, and I would venture to guess that the vast majority of these that are satin finished probably won't have that discoloration. But I want to be honest and bring it to your attention. It's just something that I don't like about satin finished blades. However, the grind and how this blade was done outside of that is excellent. The edge is super thin down here. Oh my goodness. Very thin. Nice puncture tip. I love the profile of the blade. This isn't going to be for everybody. I like it. Are you at some sort of, utilitarian advantage with this blade over a classic drop point or maybe a Warncliffe or sheep's foot? Not really. I mean, it's just it's going to cut and it looks cool. That's what I appreciate about it. Absolutely. The flipper tab I think is also excellent. This is a low profile flipper tab that kind of allows you to push button it if you want to, and it also allows you to light switch it. I think it makes more sense to light switch it, or at least that's what I'm wanting to do organically. Where my fingers fall back here, they don't find a natural position on the frame lock, so I'm not worried about like, oh, am I putting too much pressure on that, right? Because if you put too much pressure, it's not going to want to flip. And the pocket clip is in a good position. My fingers kind of find that pocket clip and they want to do it. But yeah, the detent is great. I'll give you guys a look at the detent. I would call that medium heavy or heavy enough. It's not a blade that's going to come flying out of the handle if you shake it, right? Which really isn't that big of a deal to me. And the action's great too. I'll give you guys a look at that. It's kind of just a couple of wiggles there, but nice and smooth. No inconsistencies in here. I'm not feeling lumpiness or grittiness or anything like that. This is my favorite type of action. It's controlled. I'm a fan of fall shut action, but sometimes fall shut results in an accidental injury, and that's not something that I love. I don't know anybody who does. So this type of action is not only acceptable, it's actually preferable to me. I really like the action. This is the same that I felt on the first Xerx that I handled. The second Xerx that I handled, both of those were pillar construction, and the second one was mine, and now this one. So the consistency is absolutely there. The holes on this guy, I'm not a huge fan of. Back here, I think it actually looks kind of cool. I don't mind this at all. Truthfully, my preference would be for this to have nothing on it. I think integral knives, I'm having such a hard time deciding which way I want to pronounce that. Just give me a pass on it, guys. Integral knives look exceptionally beautiful when there is nothing back here. When it's just, it really highlights the fact that it is one piece of titanium, and I just love how that looks. Me personally, I would actually like all of this to not have anything on it. And I know I've seen pictures of the ones that don't have the holes, but on the front, those look beautiful. I have no idea if they have the holes on the back or not, but if it's all one piece, right, it would add weight to it. Probably a decent amount, considering how many holes there are in this guy. Maybe half an ounce. That would be my guess. I think that would look better. I can't really complain too much about the holes because that's going to be a preference thing. They definitely don't cause any harm, and in this case, it's actually reducing the weight, which some people are really going to prefer. There is no pocket clip position for the for lefties. That's a bummer for lefties. Sorry. I know there are a lot of lefties out there who are like, it's okay. I've taught myself to be ambidextrous, so I just buy the right-handed knives I like and just carry in the right-handed pocket, right? Pocket clip is excellent. Very excellent. Doesn't carry completely and totally deep, but deep enough, right? Comes out flat and is nicely rounded off, so it's not like you're going to be, feeling that or anything. And it's also contoured. So when you're holding this knife, it's flat. You're not feeling the pocket clip. There's also enough of a rise or ramp underneath the clip that it should slide easily in and out of the pocket. And this surface is nice and smooth. So in and out of the pocket, it's really no big deal. Oh my gosh, Metal Complex, there's no true lanyard hole. Technically, you could put the lanyard in these two holes back here, or you could put it up here if you're weird. Whatever. You could attach the knife to a stick and get some fish, right? Whatever you want to do. I don't really care that there's no dedicated lanyard hole because I don't like lanyards. So that's fine with me. But if you love lanyards, you technically could do. The blade coming in there, it might catch the edge and you might slowly saw the lanyard off, right? I just don't care. Don't like lanyards. This side, much the same as the front. It is the dedicated adjustment side, so that's the side you use to adjust the knife. And then you have the lock bar insert and over travel stop, which is fantastic. The knife is very easy to disengage, even though we don't have this area right here that's raised, it's not cut out. They did knock out both sides. So you can see here, this area on this side and this area on this side. It makes it really easy to get your thumb in there. It's not sharp. So that's a great example. Like if you want to keep, if they had scalloped this or made it deeper, not scalloped, made it deeper so that you could engage that lock bar easily from, you know, from coming at it from this direction, it would have taken away from the aesthetic of the handle a little tiny bit. They didn't want to do that, so they just knocked out this area in here and knocked it out right there. So you can get your thumb in there, and it's awesome. There's no double clutch. Flipper tab comes down in your thumb. Just a great way to do that. It just feels organic and excellent, and I love it. You can flip this thing all day. If you're a couch flipper like me, right? I use my knives. I go outside and use my knives, but I'm also a couch flipper. If you do that, this is a friendly knife. Absolutely. Lockup is 25 to 30%. No blade play up, down, left, or right. We have a stop pin back here and a lot of shouldering. You see how that blade wraps around there, so that's nice. And then centering is coming in dead on perfect, which is exactly what we want to see. This is a cool knife, a very cool knife. My ultimate preference would be to keep this. I mean, if I was going to buy one for myself, I would want the entire thing to be monochromatic. I wouldn't want any of the holes, and I would not want that finish on the blade. Fortunately, I think he does versions of that, or maybe it's exactly what I'm describing with a black handle. I've seen that on his website. I would love to see some of the milling that we saw on the original, or well, I don't know if it was the original Xerx. The Xerx that I had these awesome diagonal milling lines, and I just loved that. I haven't seen that on the new one. That doesn't mean that he doesn't do it. I just don't know. I just haven't seen it. I would love that, or a diamond pattern. You guys know I'm obsessed with a diamond textured titanium. I just love how that looks. But the variants that he offers, I think there's enough variant in the variances. There's enough variance in the variants. I'm losing my mind. There's enough there that I think these are going to speak to a wide variety of people. And some people are going to love the blade and some people are not going to love it. I love it. I think it's really cool. Don't like the satin finish. I would go with, he's got more of a subdued tumbled finish that I think looks really good. Outside of that, I don't know that there's a lot here that I can complain about. It's going to be illegal for some people because of the blade length and because it is a locking blade, right? So not everybody's going to be able to enjoy this. I love that he did this as an integral knife. And let me tell you guys, the thing that I think is the best part about this is the price. If you guys are familiar with this end of this is definitely high-end production, the knife. We're looking at a premium knife, right? So if you're familiar with this territory, then you're not going to be shocked by the price at all. In fact, you're probably going to be pleasantly surprised. If you're not familiar with this territory, then you're going to think, wow, that's a lot of money for a knife. So the price for these on the website and at retailers, what I'm seeing is $375, which honestly is really good by itself. But I'm also seeing a pre-order price on his website at the time of this video, the time that I'm recording it, for $325. That's really good. I don't have a problem with that price at all. I know that there are other companies that people want to tell me, like, Tucson does an integral for a blah, and Tucson, Tucson, right? Sorry, guys, I'm just not that ultra impressed with Tucson. If you've been happy with your Tucson knives, then don't let me stop you. I've handled a lot of stuff. I'm really nitpicky. I'm not saying I'm smarter than everybody, but I have my own preferences just like everybody else, right? Based on my experiences. You know, maybe there's other stuff I need to look at, but based on what I've handled in the past, I'd rather spend more money for something that's done like this than less money for something that is subpar by contrast. And a lot of that will come with, you know, if you handle a lot of different stuff and a lot of different price ranges, you start to pick up on those little tiny things. And yeah, considering what he wants for this, what it is, yeah, I don't have a problem with $375 and especially not $325 for an integral knife. If you don't care about the integral feature, right, and you're just looking at, well, it's just titanium and M390. This isn't going to make sense to you, and that's fine. Everybody has their own value systems. But if you want my opinion, which I have to assume you might if you're watching this video, I like this. This is a recommendable knife for sure. I think the vast majority of people who pick these up will be very, very happy with them. This knife is definitely going to go in my most recommended knives playlist, so I urge you to check it out. Thanks again to @digital_guttersnipe for sending this in for review. This was an absolute joy. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.